The biggest thing I can tell you is that nothing I'm going to give you information wise will help you if you don't have the right activity. So if I'm telling you all these tips, all these tricks, and all this stuff that I do in the home, but you're only going to 1 or 2 appointments a week, it's going to take you forever to get to where you want to be. So the biggest way to overcome sales, or the biggest way to have a successful sales career, is to give yourself more shots up at bat. I was reading How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success by Frank Bettcher when I first started. An incredible book, by the way, especially if you're in sales. I recommend it. I highly recommend it. This guy was an insurance agent in the 1920s, late 20s, 1930s, and he made $1 million income. But the tips that he
Come
learned
on.
on that call, that when I read that book, is what helped me. And one of the things he said, guys, is he said, what I want you to do is, he was about to quit and he was about to get out the insurance game altogether. He wasn't making any money. It was very frustrating. And they were having a sales presentation, a sales meeting. And my man said, I didn't want to quit when everybody was there because I didn't want to embarrass myself. So I'll just stay. And he stayed for the sales meeting. And it was the number one salesperson that was up there. And the number one salesperson made a statement. And he said, the only reason that I'm up here talking to you about sales and number one with the company is because I tell my story to more people than you do. And that's the thing that I tell Clay and everybody who asks me. Honestly, I'm not that great. I know it's not a good way to start off the call, but what I'm not afraid of is, I'm not afraid of seeing a bunch of people. I'm not afraid of getting told no. I'm not afraid of making 300, 400 phone calls. I'm not afraid of booking 30 to 40 appointments every week. And the biggest thing is consistency compounds. I'm going to say that one more time. Consistency compounds. So if you can start consistently booking 20 appointments a week, okay? And then once you get 20, consistently start booking 30 appointments a week. And then once you consistently start doing 30, you raise it up to 40 appointments a week. You'll start seeing a compound effect. And I tell this all the time. If you have cash flow problems, it's because you're not telling your story to enough people. So, all right, with that being said, let's start. Okay. So the biggest thing I wanted to help you with too is making sure you do have a story. When it comes to life insurance and it comes to helping families, is making sure you tell your story. Now, you guys have heard us say this, is most people don't care about you, they care about themselves, right? And they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. What I have found is that people are more receptive to me when I share my story with them about what happened with my mom. So let me give you an example if you're putting your story together. So I'm going to talk to you as if you're brand new. If you've been with us for a while, I apologize. So this might be like a rehashing of some stuff that you may have already heard, but I'm always coaching and telling people that you got to have a story. Ours is a negative story, but some people have a positive story. So what you want to do is you want to put your story together and you want to make it real succinct and probably be able to share the story in less than 2 minutes, because people don't want to hear a long drawn out story. Okay. So when you're in the home, a story for me, let me give you my example. So my mom passed away about 10 years ago. And when she passed away, she had a rare disease called sarcoidosis. And then I asked a question because sales is about a conversation, right? It's about us talking. And so if I'm doing all the talking, I'm not really selling. And so I'll ask a question and say, have you ever heard of sarcoidosis? And they'll say something to the effect of, nope, I've never heard of it. Or I've had some people who are in the medical field, they'll say, yes, I have heard of it. And I say, well, are you in the medical field? They say yes. And they start talking about themselves. So people love that. And then I tell them what it is. And I say, well, hers was attacking her lungs, this being my mom. She called us on a Wednesday about a bruise she had on her leg. And when she had that bruise, I asked her what happened. She said she just woke up and it was there. And then my wife took her to the doctor. And they looked at everything and said, oh, Miss Richardson, you're fine. And they sent her home. They gave her some pain pills. Everything was cool. She said, baby, I'm going to take this medicine and lay down. And then we called her on Thursday and Friday and couldn't catch her. Saturday, we're getting ready for my daughter's first birthday party. And my uncle calls me at like 12 o'clock and says, Marcus, I'm sorry. I said, for what? He said, your mom didn't wake up. I said, are you serious? He said, yeah. And so I'm dealing with this. My daughter's first birthday. My mom is 50 years old and has no life insurance. So long story short is I had to end up putting it on a credit card to cremate my mom. And I had to put it on a credit card at 22% interest. And that was not a good feeling. And so that's my story. So then what I do is I pause and I say, has anything like that ever happened to you? Have you guys ever experienced that? And so then after I tell my story, what they do is they begin to tell me their stories, and stories sell, guys. The more stories you can tell, I'm sorry, the better off you will be when it comes to selling insurance or anything for that matter. So
I'm about to buy my own internet.
got to mute somebody. Clay, can you help me with that? So I tell that story, and then when I tell that story, I ask the question, have you ever experienced that, or have you guys went through something like that? And then I let them talk, and then they'll tell me their story, and then that's how I transition into the actual appointment. Every person's different. So when I'm getting to the house, the first thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make a friend, because people buy from people they know, like, and trust.
Mhm.
I'll give you an example. I went over to Mr. York's house to Tuesday, I think it was. And then I came in, he had me sitting on the couch. I prefer to do appointments at the table, the kitchen table, right? But when he's sitting at the couch, he's watching this show, and I just start talking to him about the show. Oh, tell him about the show. Like, what are you watching and stuff like that? And what we're doing is we're trying to connect on some level. So whenever you go into the house, the first thing you want to do is you want to figure out, how can I connect with, let's say you're meeting with my wife and I, how can I connect with Marcus? How can I connect with Carla and make them feel comfortable about me as a person, right? So that's the first thing we're trying to do, is let's make a friend first. And then after we're talking and just getting to know him, I like to ask questions. And you guys have probably heard this. It's called form. The F is for family. If you're taking notes, the O is for occupation. Guys love to talk about what they do. I found out that most moms and grandmothers love to talk about their family. Okay. And then you have recreation. So the R is for recreation. Like, what do you like to do on your free time? Right. And if you, again, I don't like to make these general statements, but most guys, if they hunt or they like playing basketball, they're in flag football league, they love talking about that. Like Mr. York still's in flag football. He's 52. He's a coach. I'm like, it's awesome. Right. So we're just connecting though. And then the M is for like money or things that they like to do and like on their free time. And so if you start going through that when you're in the home, that will help people open up to you, right? So let's talk about your family. You got kids, grandkids. Let's talk about your occupation. What do you do for work? Another good one, especially if you're doing mortgage protection, is how long have you lived here? Did you guys refinance? Excuse me, or did you just purchase the house? And these are just questions that get people to open up. And when people start opening up, I don't have a set time frame when I'm doing the, I guess, if you will, the small talk or the connecting. What I'm looking for is body posture. So when I get there, you know what I'm saying? If you get a guy that's like, let me just put my camera down a little bit. So if you get the guy like this, right? So I'm going to keep talking to him until I get his hands to open up. Okay. If you get the lady that's kind of laid back, a little closed off, doing one of these, like she's cold, I'm going to keep talking to her until I can get her to open up or lean in. Okay. So when you get opened up, that's open body posture, which says, okay, Marcus, I'm ready to listen to you. When you get them, if you can't, like if they're just absolutely not going to open up to you, or you might get some of those A-type personalities like, okay, what's this about? Like, cut to the chase. Don't ask me about the TV show. Like, what's up? And if you get those, you handle them appropriately, but you also want to tell your story. I don't care who it is. Your goal this week, if I gave you a goal, okay, your goal this week is, can you tell your story from this Thursday to next Thursday to 20 people? If you tell your story from this Thursday to next Thursday to 20 people, I promise you that you will submit $5,000 to $10,000 of premium. Promise. And if it doesn't happen, let me and Clay know. We'll work on some other stuff. But if you can tell your story and take these little tips that I'm sharing with you today, you'll submit 5,000 to 10,000 every single week. But you got to do it to 20 people. So that means you got to have the right activity on the front end. Okay. All right. So that's what you're looking for. So those are some tips. You're looking for open body posture. You're looking for them to lean into you, for them to be more engaged. You're looking for eye contact. And then as you get the open body posture, the next thing you want to do. So let me give you an example. If a guy is giving you the arm crossed, not really wanting to hear you, one of the things I love to do is I'll ask if they can get me a glass of water. I might not even drink the water. But what I'm doing is I'm asking for a favor, because when I ask for a favor, people open up to me. They're less likely to be shut down to me when they have to give me something. Have you ever given something to somebody and then not wanted to hear what they have to say? No. So these are little psychological things that we do to get people to open up to us. Okay. All right. So now that we're opened up to us, here's the way I do it. Now, everybody's different. Your ATM will actually walk you through how to connect with people. So if you just do your ATM on the About Me page, that page is not really about you. But me personally, I don't like to bring my ATM out until I get that open posture. Everybody's different. If you're just brand new and you're just starting, I would recommend getting your ATM out and kind of going through that and getting them to open up to you through your ATM. But I like to get people to know me first before we start talking business. Because if I feel like if it's real business, then people shut down. To me, I want our relationship to be a friend relationship, then business. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the friendship part, and then I want to go into business. Okay. So here's how I transition. So let's say I got the open posture, their arms are down, they're receptive to me now. Then the next thing I do is I say, well, guys, and then this is when I tell my story, especially if we're doing occupation. So let's say I'm talking to them about what they do for work. Here's how I transition. I'm going to use Junior Blaze because I see Junior. So I'm going to talk to you like I'm talking to you. Okay, Junior. So here's how I do the open posture. So if we got the open posture, we're talking about occupation. One of my transitions is I say, man, I've been doing insurance myself for about 10 years. So even if you're just starting, you say, I've been doing insurance like 2 weeks, I've been doing insurance a year, whatever the case is. And then I'll say stuff like, I didn't grow up wanting to be the insurance guy. Like that was not the plan in college or high school. And they laugh, they chuckle. And then I say, but how I got into it. And that's how I transition into my story about my mom. Okay. So you're looking for a place where you can transition that's natural. It's almost like, you know how when you're in class, Junior, and the teacher would write on the chalkboard and you get that weird sound and it makes you go like, ah, or they do the screech on the board. If you don't transition in your presentation effectively, you'll get like that screeching moment in the presentation and it's really awkward. So you want to try to avoid the screeching moment. Okay. And the way we do that is when we start talking occupation, we're looking for an opening where we can start talking about what we do. But I try to make it a smooth flow, letting them talk about themselves. And people are always interested in people who are interested in them. So by asking questions about what they do, who they are, then they start showing, oh, okay, Marcus is interested in me. Now I can trust him. I can open up to him. All right. So that's the first transition. And then I always ask, has something like that happened to you? Have you guys experienced something like this? And then I listen to their story. Now, after they tell me their story, what I'm trying to do next is I'm trying to figure out why they sent this in. So the reason I'm here is to put myself in the beneficiary shoes. So this is what I always tell myself. If I was their spouse or if I was their kid and I was the one having to pay for the funeral, what would that do to me? So I'm always trying to figure out what situation would the beneficiary be in. First off, who is the beneficiary? Okay. So when you sent in the postcard and you were looking for the insurance for burial, who's the person that's going to be responsible for all your final wishes, like I was for my mom? That's kind of how I ask it. Or if I'm doing a mortgage protection, I'm like, who's the person that's either going to take over the house? Or like if it's husband, wife, that's kind of simple, right? But if it's a single individual, you want to ask those kind of questions so you can understand who the beneficiary is. And then the next question you should be asking yourself is, like, Junior, what does that look like for your beneficiary? Like if you passed away yesterday and you didn't come home, what situation would she be in? How long would she be able to pay the mortgage? Or if it's a burial one, you would say something to the effect of, do you guys have money to take care of the final expenses? And there's money set aside. And then we're just really trying to have a conversation. They might say, yes, I do have some money set aside. They might say, no, I don't. Most people say, no, I don't have anything. That's why I sent in the form. I'm trying to make sure that what happened to your mom doesn't happen to my family. And when you say that, you don't get things like, oh, I'm just shopping. Like if you tell your story first, they won't tell you stuff like I'm just shopping. Because now you're a person. Now you're relatable. Now they know that you're just like them and you've been through a situation like that. And so now that they can relate to you, they trust you and they'll tell you the real reason why they sent in the form. So here's the next thing. No matter what they say, if they say, yeah, I want to make sure that my family wasn't in the same situation that your family was in. I want to make sure that we're not where we have to put on a credit card either, or we don't have any coverage. That's the first answer, but that's not the place where you stop. If you stop there and just go right into it, you're going to find things like at the end of your presentation, oh, we just want to think about it. No, you don't. No, you don't. You've been thinking about it for 58 years and you have no life insurance. You've been thinking about it enough. No, you don't want to think about it. So what you want to do, Junior, is you want to say something to the effect of, so after they tell you their first reason, you want to dig about 2 or 3 layers, sometimes 4 layers deep to uncover the emotion. Because people buy insurance emotionally and they justify it logically with the price. I'm going to say that one more time. People buy insurance emotionally and then they justify it logically based on the price. So what we got to do is we got to uncover the emotion. So here's some questions I asked Junior to uncover the emotion. Okay. So the first question I might say is something to the effect of, okay, so if I hear you correctly, Junior, you want to make sure that your family's not in a situation where they have to pay for the funeral. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. So if you did pass away, what does that look like now? So that's a what question. So why did you send it in? And then what, right? What does it look like as of right now? And I want them to paint a picture for me. So take me through to the funeral services. If we don't get coverage, what does that look like? Oh man, they're going to have to ask their brothers and sisters. They're going to have to do a GoFundMe page. They're going to have to pass the hat at church or whatever their situation is, right? Because when you ask the what question, now they're starting to see it in their mind. And most people are visual creatures. And if we can get them to see it, then they can believe that I'm the answer to their solution. So every house you walk in, your mindset is, I'm the answer to their problem. They have a problem, which is why they sent in the form, but I'm the solution to every person's problem. Now, they say what the situation would look like. And then the next question is, like something to the effect of, well, what happens if you don't get the coverage in place? And I'm just digging down, digging down. It's almost similar to the second question, but it's it's a small nuance. What happens if you don't get it today? Right. So now that I'm creating that sense of urgency, what happens if you don't get it today? And when you start asking questions like this, what you're doing is you're relating, but now you're creating the sense of urgency. So you get I need to think about it less. Like I hate to think about it because you really know that's just them procrastinating and they're really saying no. And they just don't. I'd rather you, as a salesperson, I'd rather you tell me no so I can go work with someone else than you tell me you want to think about it. And then I leave the house thinking I'm going to get a sale for $100 a month. And I know you're not going to call me back and I'm not going to call you because I'm busy. I got, 30 leads coming in a week. Right. So why don't we just get a yes or a no? If it's a no, it's okay. But why don't we get that while I'm there? So I'm not dealing with something later when you know you need the coverage. And remember, most people are like you or like me are procrastinators by nature. Right? They procrastinate on life insurance. They procrastinate on going to the grocery store. Like even with I was telling you the story this morning with Miss Betty. She's trying to send me the text message about let's go see the annuity guy later. I'm like, no. It's snow. It's Colorado. We lived here all our lives. Like, don't trip. We're gonna go see our guy. Like, we're gonna go help him out. But what she's really doing is saying I needed a reason to procrastinate. And so we just want to take all the reasons of procrastination off the board by asking good emotional questions that dig down on why they sent it in. Okay. So now when they dig down on the why they sent it in, let me just take you to the next thing I think is another big nugget. So when you get to the financial picture, the transition, now everybody transitions different, but I'm just going to show you how I transition. So when I'm flipping my ATM and I get on the transition page of about the financial picture, this is what I say, Junior. I say, so next is the part of me doing the nosy insurance thing. So I got to ask you some questions, but it will help me figure out exactly what I can do to help you and find a plan that might fit your needs and your budget. Does that sound good? They'll say yes. All right, cool. And then that gives me permission to ask all the questions about their height, weight, smoking status, and things like that. And then one of the things I always love to tell the ladies if I'm in the home is like, my mom did teach me manners. I do know better. I'm not supposed to ask you this, and I could get in trouble. But for this purpose, how tall are you and how much do you weigh? And then I go like this. I'm like, ah. All right. And they're like, oh, I'm 5'11" and I'm more than I need to be. I'm like, okay, what does it say on your driver's license? Because that's most women's ideal weight. Like, what did you put on your driver's license? And they'll say something like, well, that doesn't match my weight. I was like, it's all good. What is it? Just tell me what it is in the driver's license. And then you'll get that. They feel comfortable because remember, you're still developing the relationship as you go through the whole process. So you're a relationship expert and your job is to make that relationship and cultivate that relationship while you're there. So then when you're in there, and they start talking about the finances. So here's when you go to the part, Junior, that says, how much do you make a year or how much do you make a month? Okay. If whatever they tell you, it doesn't matter. Say, okay, good, got it. And then my next question I always ask, and this is another one that creates emotion, is, okay, Junior, to make sure I understand your situation, when you pass away, how much of this 5,000 a month or 3,000 a month, or if they're on Social Security, how much of this 1,100 a month goes to your spouse if they're married, or how much of that goes to your kids? And I know the answer to the question. None of it. It's zero, right? And so most people will say, I don't think any of it goes to my family. Or some people might say, I don't know. Oh, okay. And then what are they going to do when that 5,000 a month stops? Because here's what I do know. The number one reason people buy life insurance is actually to replace their income. That's why you have it through your job, income replacement. Okay. So I'm trying to help them realize that, oh my goodness, my $5,000 a month does stop. Okay. And then I'll do the same thing with the wife. If it's husband, wife, if the wife is working, right? Or if it's like a situation where the kids live at home or something to that effect, I'll ask the same question. What will your kids do, or how will your kids still pay the bills when that $5,000 a month stops? Okay. And so no matter what they say, I'm going to help them understand that your income's stopping. And if you have no money coming in, how are they going to still pay the bills? How are they still going to take care of things financially? And most people start to realize, oh, you know what? I don't have it all together. They know that anyway, because that's why they sent in the form. But what I'm trying to get them to do, Junior, is I'm trying to get them to verbalize it. The more they say it, the better off we'll be. Okay. And then I say, oh, okay. So is that why you were looking into this? I'll ask a question like that. And that's the trial close. So is that why you were looking into this? Is that why you needed coverage? Okay. And they'll say yes. Right. So what I'm doing is getting my first yes. All right. So now, and then we get to the part about the mortgage on the where you're looking for the annuities. Okay. So when you find it, here's one of the ways I like to ask for it. And it's right there on the green sheet, but I'll say something to the effect of, hey guys, is there anything else that you have that would pay for your burial? What I mean by that is there like a 401k, pension, TSP, anything that would help cover for the burial or whatever they sent the form in. So if I'm doing mortgage protection, Junior, I'll say, is there anything that would help offset the mortgage if we don't get the protection today, like any 401ks, IRAs, TSP accounts, stocks, anything? And they'll tell me yes, or they'll tell me no. If they say no, right, then I'll say, okay, who handles your retirement for you now? Because sometimes people just don't understand the question, right? And they'll say, oh, Edward Jones, or they don't want to tell you that. And if they say yes, then my next question is, okay, and is it enough? And this is normally how I ask it. I don't get into numbers until I get toward the end of it, what's in their 401k. But I'll say, is it enough to pay off the mortgage? Like if we don't get any coverage? And some people say yes. And then I always ask this question, Junior. I say, after the taxes, after Uncle Sam takes his part, is it enough to pay off the mortgage? And they're like, no, it's not. If they say yes, and let's say the loan amount is 200,000, I know that they have a 401k account that's got 200,000 or more, right? And that's just a general thing I do. Or if they say no, it's not enough, I'll say I know it's under 200,000. Or let's say we're doing a burial policy, I know it's under 20 or 30,000 if they do say they have it. And then my next question I always ask, because I'm trying to find out where the money's at, is I'll say, now, is this something that you still are contributing to and you pay into at work? Or is this something, is it something that is just kind of sitting there with an old employer? If they say it's just sitting there, ding, 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 that's my annuity. Okay. Or if they say I am still contributing to it, but they're 59 and a half or over, ding, 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 those are people that we can help transfer money. I won't get into all that because Chris Norris does a great job with that. But 59 and a half or over, or they're not contributing to it, your ears should go up and you should say, okay, we got some safe money here. Now, don't freak out. Don't get too excited because you're not going to deal with that now. You're going to help them for what they sent the form in for, but you're going to book that meeting from the next meeting. Okay. All right. So now you have their situation, their picture. And then you flip the page, and the next page on the ATM says about, again, why it was important to them, and it kind of reiterates it. But because I've done such a good job telling my story, and because I've done such a good job killing them off on the financial picture, I don't really read all those questions. I'll just restate to them what I heard them say. So if I was talking to Junior, I would say, again, so Junior, you told me that you wanted to make sure the mortgage was paid so your wife wouldn't be coming home from the funeral trying to figure out how she's going to keep the house. Is that correct? Yes, that's correct. Gotcha. Okay. Well, let me see what I can do. So then we go in, and then I tell them how the process works. So now I got my lead or the green sheet, whatever you use. And on the green sheet, I'll tell them this. I say, so my job, Junior, is to go through here and show you several different options that might fit your needs in your budget. And if we do find something that fits your needs in your budget, I help you apply for it. So I can't say yes and I can't say no. But the underwriter has the final decision. But I want to make sure we find something that's going to be comfortable for you guys every month. And if we do, let me know, and I just help you fill out the paperwork. Does that sound fair? And they say yes. And then the other thing I do is I tell them, I say, the good news is I don't collect any money today. So if we are going to fill out the paperwork, We'll fill it out together. We'll put the payment information on there. And then when they say yes, they do the first payment, but I do have to fill out information out so they know where to take the money from. And what I'm doing is a pressure release. So I'm telling them how the process goes, and then I'm releasing pressure, because the hardest thing in any sales presentation is the close, right? It's kind of like that awkward moment where you're going to the door, the date is going awesome. You want to kiss her, she wants you to kiss her, but no one really knows who's going to go in first. So if you just are assumptive and you lean in for the kiss, she's going to kiss you. You guys know this. You know this, Junior. I'm married, right? We know this. If everything is going good and you did your job, she's going to lean in for the kiss. So when you get ready for the close, you just want to make it super simple, right? Or another one I like to tell people is you're the doctor, right? You went and got your insurance license. You studied the course. You got the 40 hours credit to be able to do the insurance class. So you're the professional. So be the professional when you get to the close. When you get to the close and you're showing the options, it's just like the doctor that walks in. So let's say you go to the doctor. You say, hey, doc, my elbow's hurting. And I got something going on, with my back, right? So the doctor comes in and says, all right, I'll tell you what, Marcus, I'm going to be back in 2 minutes. I want you to put this robe on, and then we'll go through and finish up your exam, okay? Now, the doctor tells you what to do. He leaves, and guess what you do? You get out, you get undressed, you put the robe on, and you do what the doctor says, because he's the doctor. You're the professional. So you do the same thing when it comes to the close. Like, you're the person. So you're going to tell them what to do when you get to your close. Like, don't get awkward. Don't get weird. Like, you're the doctor. You're going to tell them, take off your clothes, get dressed, get undressed, put the robe on, and here's what we're going to do. So when you get to your close, here's how I close it. So you show your options, your 3 options. Okay. Always show 3 options, because people love to buy, but they hate to be sold. Right. So you show them 3 options. If you're doing final expense, I like to do, my bad about that, y'all. My bad. That's the office phone. I don't want to ring it while we're talking. So when you're doing 3 options, if you're doing final expense, normally it's 10, 15, 20 to start. Okay. Basic, preferred, premier. You explain how the plan works. The coverage goes into effect day 1 if they say yes, right? Or if I'm doing mortgage protection, I like to do what we call a 36-month option, which pays the loan amount, whatever their monthly mortgage payment is, for 3 years. 50% option, whatever their loan is, and then 100% option, or whatever their age, the max is that their age will let them get. Okay. I keep it super simple. And then after I explain the options, here's how I close it, or here's how I do my doctor thing. Okay. So remember, I'm telling them to get their clothes off. You ready? Or I'm going in for the kiss. So we're not going to make this awkward. So here's how I do it. I say, all right, Junior, I explain all 3 of them. And then I'll say, so based on what we've talked about, which one do you think meets your needs and fits your budget the best that you want me to help you apply for? I'm just helping them apply for, okay? And they'll say something to the effect of, here, let me repeat that again. Which one of these options, can you go over the 3 options? Yes, my bad, Walter. So the 3 options that I show on the mortgage protection, the 36 months. So if their mortgage payment is $1,000 a month, that first plan is going to be a face amount of $36,000. And then we do a 50% option, which is half of their loan. So if their loan is a $200,000, my middle option is going to be $100,000. And then the third option, which is the biggest one, is going to be the $200,000. And I always write the smallest payment left to right, because people read left to right. And I don't want them freaking out when they see that big one first. So I put my smallest one first on the left, and I go left to right on the options. So after I show them the options, here's how I do the close. Got you, Walter, no problem. So I'll say something to the effect of, which plan makes the most sense and fits your budget that you want me to help you apply for today? And it's always that you want me to help you apply for today. Okay. Because remember, I'm creating that urgency, right? Which one fits your needs and your budget that you want me to help you apply for today? And then I pause and I don't say anything. So this is the key. When you ask the closing question, do not speak again. Don't re-go over the benefits, even if it's a long, awkward pause for 2 minutes. It's like that. Again, we're at the door. We're waiting for the kiss. She jingles the keys, right? That means she's trying to find a reason to kiss you, right? If you say anything, Junior, you lose the sale. So the first person to speak when you ask that question loses. So now it becomes a game. So when I ask that closing question, just stay quiet. It's going to be weird. It's going to be uncomfortable for them. It's going to be uncomfortable for you. Your palms are going to get sweaty. Your armpits are going to get a little sweaty. I know. I go through it all, bro. Right? Like we have all these emotions because we're trying to get this sale, right? And then when they say, you know what, I'm thinking about the middle one. What you do is you're like the doctor. I was thinking the same thing. Great choice. And then here's your close. Go grab your driver's license for me. That's it. That's it. I'm going to get the paperwork out. Go grab your driver's license. Or I'm going to get this pulled up on my phone or whatever, however you write the app. I'm going to get this pulled up on my iPad. Go grab your driver's license for me. And that's you assuming it. That's you getting your kiss goodnight before she goes upstairs, right? Like if you make it weird and uncomfortable, she's going to go, oh, no, I'm good, right? I'm good. Don't kiss me. I'm good. But if you're just like, oh, everything was good. The night was awesome. Boom, right? You come in for the kiss. Everything was good. He told me his story. He's a likable person. I like him. He likes me. He's interesting. I'm interested in him. This is you getting the kiss now. The driver's license is the kiss, everybody, okay? The driver's license is them taking off their clothes and doing what you ask as the doctor, okay? So you just ask for the driver's license, get everything you need, and then get off the phone or get to the next part of the application and then answer any questions that they have as you're doing the application. You go through the health questions and fill it out. Now, let me just touch on this last point and we'll get out of here. So you found the money, okay? You get the application all filled out. You got the safe money. So here's how you want to close it down. Oh, you were telling me, Junior, that you had that old 401k at Raytheon and you're not contributing to that. A quick question, Junior. Are you concerned about like with everything we got going on with the market and the pandemic about the account going down and losing any money? Like, what would you do if the account took a 50% hit? Oh my gosh, that would suck or blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, I can't do it today because I've been here a while, but if I could show you a way where you can keep the money safe and you don't lose a dime, but you get some gains with the market, would you want to learn how to keep the money safe and cause it to grow with no risk? Absolutely. They have that? Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'll come back this same time next week and we'll go through it together and I can show you exactly how it works. There's a guy I work with at our office named Chris. This stuff is a little bit above my pay grade. But do you have a statement real quick that I can work with Chris on so I can start running some numbers for you? Yes. Or if they say I don't have a statement, if they have a statement, just take a picture of it, right? Or if they say I don't have a statement, just ask them the question, okay, now what's the estimated value of that? So when I'm working my numbers on this illustration, I can come back and show you. And they'll tell you it's about 60,000 there. It's about 180,000 or it's 250 or whatever the case is. And then you say, all right, so I came by Tuesday at 6. So what I'm going to do is come by next Tuesday at 6. Will that work for you guys? Yep. Okay, perfect. And then you do your ERS, or you can do ERS before this. Here's another good way to do your ERS. If you're doing husband, wife, get your ERS sheet out and say, you know what? I need you while I'm filling out this for Junior. So let's say I'm talking to your wife, Junior. I would say you go ahead and set up your 5 emergency contacts. So if something happens to you, they know how to get a hold of me and the insurance company. Because the worst thing is if you have to do what I did. We thought my mom had life insurance, but we had to search the house. We had to rip up everything. We didn't know where the policy was. And we found out that she didn't have anything. A lot of insurance companies don't pay out claims, not because they don't want to, just because they don't know about it. Because when we get life insurance, we're not sitting around at Thanksgiving saying, oh, I got 250,000. So if anything happens to me, you guys are good. They don't do that. So make sure you guys put down your 5. And so then while I'm filling out the app for Junior, I get her 5. And then while I'm filling out her app, I get Junior's 5. So I have 10 total people that we can call. And I tell them exactly why we need 10, because some people's phones are going to get disconnected. They're going to lose my phone number. They're going to say they wrote it down and they don't write it down. But all we need is for one person to call us to make sure your wife or your husband gets that money. So that's the way you knock out your ERS. And then as you're leaving the house, you always ask the question, hey, guys, based on what I did for you, do you know anybody that's looking for a side hustle that can do this part-time? Because I'm hiring like crazy. We get a bunch of these leads like you had sent in to us. And I'm just trying to make sure we can fulfill these requests because there's a lot of people that need our help. And especially if you're talking about family and let's say they're like in their 60s or 70s, you want to go for the grandbabies. Right? Because the grandbabies are like Alliance 8 and age, 25, 20-ish, that kind of thing. And if not, you want to try to hire anybody, but that's kind of what you're looking for. So that's my in-home presentation, Clay, in a nutshell. Remember, you can't overcome. Yes. So 5 names each, David, correct, and get you a total of 10 on the ERS. And now if you're doing just one person, you want to have them give you 10. So let me make sure I'm clear on that. But the key is to ask the question to get the ERSs. And so I wanted to make sure I was very clear on that. But that's the 4 basics of the in-home sale. You pick up the check, be nice, make a friend, tell your story. You'll pick up the check. Don't get weird on the clothes. You'll get a check. It's like that kiss coming in. It's like the doctor telling you to take off your clothes. Don't make it awkward. Don't you think you should find the first option and don't do that. Like just when they pick it, just go in. And then the next one is you want to find that safe money. Okay. You want to help them protect the safe money. Bam, fam. You want to get your emergency response, get your referrals, and then you want to ask who else can help us. You do that in the home. And if you're really good, you can probably get it done in like 45 minutes, to be honest with you, unless you get those talkers that haven't talked to anybody in like 2 years and they talk your ear off when you're warming up to them. You got to know how to handle those too, because we do get those. So that's my in-home clay. Hopefully it helped. But remember, everything I'm sharing with you means nothing if you can't talk to 20 people a week. Like all the tips you got today, I'm big on putting stuff into use within 72 hours of getting the information. So if you got something today that blessed you and you're like, oh man, I can do that. I like that. I want to try that. Now go get some appointments, or if you got appointments today, like go into the field today and use some of the stuff you heard today and see how it helps you, and then start making it good, start making it fit for what works good for you. And then here's one thing I do want to say too, is the initial sale is important, but every time after someone gets approved, you want to call them. Because remember, one night stands are not cool. And if the client feels like it's a one night stand and all you came out to do is just get the sale and you don't have a relationship, that's where you start having placement issues, chargeback issues. So always tell them how the process goes. Within 3 to 5 days, we'll have an answer, or we'll get the policy approved within 7 to 10 days, and I'll call you. If it takes any longer than that, I'll let you know. Or if they have additional questions, I'll call you and bug you. And then call them. Like when the policy gets approved, let them know. And I'll tell you that will help with your placement. I didn't know what placement was until I got a nasty letter from Transamerica my first 90 days telling me they was going to fire me, Clay. And I called Andy. I said, hey, whoa, I can't get fired. Like I need this job. Like I got 2 kids and a wife. Like I can't get fired. He said, oh, that's your placement, Bo. And so you got to work on that. That's before we had any videos, before the Alliance University. I'm an old school guy, so we didn't have any of those videos, nothing to tell what placement was. And so I started working on my placement. So make sure you call them after the policy gets approved, or if they get denied, call them and reschedule to go back out to the house and help them with something else. So I hope that helps, Clay. I don't know if you want to open it up for questions, but if you got anything for me.
You killed it, man. I just want to tell you how good you did. I mean, obviously the feedback is awesome from a lot of your peers that are top producers too. So that's how you know you made an impact. And you all have a call to action now too that Marcus gave you. Give your story, share your story with 20 people this week. This week, not next week, not thinking about it. This week, share your story with 20 people and you will have an impact. You will have an impact on your bank account, and you'll have impact on people. And Marcus, you've had an impact on everybody on this call, man. So thank you for doing it. I know we appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm glad I was able to help, man. Appreciate you, bro.